Worth, Superwomen, Family Ties, and Knowledge is Power. When we come back, I'm going to tell you how to tune in and be a part of the show. You are listening to Destiny Talk Live, and I'm your host, Cherry G.
Hey, this is John Legend.
Hey, what's happening, man? It's the King speaking.
This is Sherman.
Can you dig it? Can you dig it?
Gotta be. Sensation Station Network.
Major key alert. Life is like school. You will be tested, so pass it.
Learn the real major keys to getting to college at GetSchooled.com. Brought to you by Get Schooled and the Ad Council.
Uncle Dan?
Mom? Dad?
If you store your guns properly, so not just anyone can get to them.
I'll feel safer when I'm playing outside. Safer when walking home.
Safer when my friends come over. As your neighbor, I'll feel safer.
As a school teacher, I'll feel safer.
We'll all feel safer.
Your family, friends, and neighbors are all counting on you. If you own a gun, you have a full-time responsibility. When you aren't using it, be sure it can't get into the hands of curious children, troubled teenagers, a thief, or anyone else who might misuse it. Remember, always, lock it up. For more information on firearm storage safety, visit ncpc.org. This message brought to you by the National Crime Prevention Council, the Bureau of Justice Assistance, and the Ad Council.
I'm more resourceful than I thought.
My suit can still make an impression.
My video games are still game changers.
And my lamp can bring others a bright future.
Because when I donate my stuff to Goodwill,
it helps fund job placement and training for people right in my community.
Now my stuff gets a second chance.
And will give someone in my community
a second chance too.
Goodwill. Donate stuff, create jobs. Find your nearest donation center at goodwill.org. That's goodwill.org. This message brought to you by Goodwill and the Ad Council.
Vince Lombardi once said that it's hard to be aggressive when you're confused. Some of us think that taking our lives to the next level, both personally and professionally, is a confusing and complicated process. Guess what? It's not, and I can prove it. My book, Truisms, will show you. Go to michaelmcfadden.com. That's michaelmcfadden.com, and let Truisms help you to the next level.
From the University of Alabama, the Dallas Cowboys, Super Bowl, then prison. The remarkable story of Sherman Williams that you must read to believe. Crimson Cowboy, Peace Between the Lines, is the incredible journey of an NFL star, continued road to redemption. You must get this book now at palmerwilliams.org. palmerwilliams.org.
George. Y'all need anything else?
Sensation Station Network.
Welcome back to Destiny Talk Live. I'm your host, Cherry G, coming to you every Thursday at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Like I said, we have an awesome guest in the house today. We got Sherman Williams. We're going to introduce him in a second, but I want to give you guys the information where you can tune in. If you are listening to us on TuneIn and you want to call in or text your comments, it's 678-613-5857. If you are listening to us on Facebook, go ahead and type your comments in the comment section, and we'll get back with you. Right now, I just want to say welcome, Sherman. Thank you so much for coming. We're super excited that you're on the show, and just give them a little bit about your name and give a little quick promo on who you are.
First of all, I want to say thank you for having me on the show. It's always an honor and a pleasure to be able to speak to people, to be able to share the message that has been delivered to me, to be able to give people inspiration, encouragement about, taking the step to the next level. So that's what it's about with me and with my life, my purpose. It's about getting out in the community, helping kids, helping people overcome obstacles, and getting people focused on what their missions are. So to be able to get in front of people is always a blessing. So I want to thank you and your host and everybody, co-host and Trail and Mr. Prime and everybody for allowing us the opportunity to put our brand out in front of folks.
Well, we really appreciate you because our show, as I was telling you, is we talk about those tough decisions that you have to make, and we always say you have to get back down to the root cause of things for you to be able to understand. And the biggest section when we're talking about our man's worth, what I was explaining earlier, we like our men to understand that we don't expect you to be 100 solid all the time. And we have to know, we want you to know that it's okay if you make a mistake, that you can bounce back from that. And I think a lot of times, like Centrell and I were saying, the society has put it so tough on you that you really just don't know where to go. You just have to do what society dictates for you to do.
Most of the time now that the media and so much technology has been so rampant in all areas of life that people now mostly don't follow what's at home. They mostly get all the information from outside sources, from the community, from the television, whatever they have, whatever source. People don't do things positive, they're going to end up doing them negative. And it's a very simple 1 + 1 = 2. If you make good decisions, you're going to get rewards, and if you make poor decisions, you're going to suffer consequences. And us as humans, we have a tendency to think a little bit more and get more involved and get too much of ourself involved, and sometimes we just have to sit back and allow things to happen.
Yeah.
You know, it's always good to have good work ethic. Work ethic can take you a long ways, but sometimes you can get so far ahead of yourself to where you miss the big picture. And that's one thing that I have learned myself through my journey of life about sometimes just taking a back seat and just listening and paying close attention to your surroundings and be more observant. You know, the word tells you you want to be slow to speak and quick to listen. You know,
Right.
you listen more, you'll learn more, you know.
Now, you know, we were talking about in previous shows, we talk about behavior, okay? And a lot of it, we say that a lot of people make bad decisions because of what their environment is. Now, I assume that you played Pee Wee and all of that league
Correct.
stuff, and you're
Yes.
what got you, first of all, what got you into wanting to play football?
Well, it's a family thing. My family members, my father, my uncles, older brothers, older siblings was all athletes, and it was just something passed down through our generations. And you know, sports is fun. You know, you have fun playing sports. And when I was a kid, we got out in the neighborhood. We played straight-laced baseball, kickball, all kinds of sports. And football is just a dominant sport in our area. So most kids in the area that I was raised in and grew up in will gravitate to football. But basketball is another sport, track and field. So baseball, I mean, just sports, just fun. As a kid, you want to get out there and you want to participate. You see other kids having fun, so it made me. I developed a passion for the sport, and I also had a passion for track and field, and, you know, playing basketball, baseball, and those types of things as well. So I just always felt good, comfortable being in the sports arena, and I think that this was just something that, you know, God blessed me with a skill and a talent that I was able to use in a benefit to make it to the highest level, the NFL, and go on to win championships and do things like that. So I feel good, real good about the sport, and I think that, you know, we need to get more kids back involved in sports because, you know, the televisions and all the electronic gadgets and those types of things, it's kind of, you know, moved them into a different direction. But and that's why we have the group, the Palmer Williams Group, my organization. We focus heavily on getting kids back involved in positive programs, and we use our platform as sports and activities to be a platform for the kids to get out there, express themselves, see what their talents are, because you have so many people that have talents, but they never have a chance to express them. They never know they had those talents until it was too late. You know, they're adults now, and they be looking back and be like, I remember I was good at that, but I just didn't never get an opportunity to showcase.
Well, let me ask you something. I always had a question because, you know, sometimes with yourself, you're very good in sports and everybody knew it. Was it hard? Was it a hard expectation for you as a kid growing up? Was a lot of pressure on you to be the best at what the sport you were in? Was it a lot of pressure?
Believe it or not, I didn't have any pressure on me at all to perform at a high level in sports, even though my brother was a good athlete, made Olympic quarterfinals, and went to college on an athletic scholarship, was pretty good in the neighborhood, and people knew who he was for sports, but I didn't feel pressure to go out and follow in his footsteps. It was just something that was just a natural gift that was given to where I had to just go out and just be myself.
Okay. Well, when we come back, I want to ask you a little bit more about your childhood. Don't go anywhere, guys. Stay tuned. You're listening to Destiny Talk Live. I'm your host, Cherry G.
Meet former Dallas Cowboy Sherman Williams as he makes his way through Atlanta to Arlington, Texas for the release of Crimson Cowboy, Peace Between the Lines. Don't miss your time to gain valuable insight on how to avoid the pitfalls of success. For appearance information, please go to info@palmerwilliamsgroup.org.
We're more connected than ever before. 90% of America's students use some form of social media, but not all of it's used in a good way. Hurtful posts online are leading to social isolation for many. Psychologists say it's bullying in a brand new way. Well, Beyond Differences and I Keep Safe are looking to change that with ideas for students, their parents, and even teachers. Take the pledge to be kind online and learn more at wearekindonline.com.
Indoor baseball, anyone?
Most party fouls are pretty dumb, but if you decide to drink and drive underage, you could lose your license and your freedom. Learn more at ultimatepartyfoul.org. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Sensation Station Network. Never achieved before.
Welcome back to Destiny Talk Live. I'm your host, Cherry G. We have Sherman Williams in the house, guys. If you are listening to us on TuneIn Radio and you have a question or a comment, please go ahead and text it to or call in at 678-613-5857. If you are listening to us on Facebook, go ahead and type your comment in the comment section and we'll get back with you. I want to say hello to our listeners, William Thomas, Ted Bear, Hardcore, Deborah Adderley, and I want to thank you guys so much for tuning in. I'm really excited about that. And I'd like to know who was Sherman's favorite player growing up and why.
My favorite player in the NFL growing up was Tony Dorsett.
How awesome is that you got to play with him?
Well, you know, Tony Dorsett in the early, mid to late 70s was a Heisman Trophy winner and very popular amongst people who wanted to be involved in football and playing on America's team, the Dallas Cowboys at that time. And then I also had the cleats in the backyard with the toe flap on it, so I was always Tony Dorsett in the backyard. You know. Then for him to go 99 yards on a Monday night football game, Tony Dorsett just was a big figure, an icon in our region, especially playing with the Dallas Cowboys and winning and having that tradition. And it was just something that I was gravitated to, his style of play and his running ability, so I kind of tried to pattern my skills out after him.
Now, he gave you a nickname. What was that nickname? Was it the Shake?
Well, you know, we always had a Shake. You know, that came up in the college ranks when I was playing at the University of Alabama, and you know, it was an end zone celebration, and you know, people were very excited. A lot of the fans, because we won a lot of games back then, so us winning every week kind of got boring a little bit. You know,
got boring.
When you win in 45 games in 4 years, you know, people just expecting you to win. So they showing up to the games like, oh, Alabama won again. You know, it's just, you know. So now the Sherman Shake came alive, and people, we want to see Sherman get in the end zone. So it gave the fans a little extra boost to motivate to come out and, you know, want to see something different a little bit. So.
Yeah, I saw a reel with the Shake on it, because when I saw that, when I was researching you, I was like, the Shake, so I went back to see it. I said, okay, I see what they're talking about. Now, I have a serious question for you, though, because we talk to our guys all the time about bad decisions, okay, and peer pressure. And you guys, we always say, Santrell and I always say on the show that you guys got a lot that you have to deal with. I mean, because there's a stereotype that you can't show emotion, you can't show any sign of weakness, and if you deviate from a plan, like we had a young man on the show that he speaks proper, but he said when he go home, he have to act like he tough in a certain way because he don't want to get picked on. How was that like for you growing up? And if you know people that are going through that, what type of advice would you give them today?
Well, growing up in Pritchard, Alabama, you know, was one of those things in the neighborhood where, you know, we had a lot of crime, a lot of gang-like activity, juvenile delinquency, that type of thing, and we wasn't an affluent community, no jobs. It wasn't a big factory or anything like that in the city of Pritchard where people would have jobs and a place to go and know they're gonna have income and that type of thing. So it was more of a you know, check to check, live to the next day, and try to get what you can get, and that right there causes the pressure. because you need finances. You know, if you push a man in the corner and push him against the wall, he has no other options. Sometimes he's going to make some decisions that are going to cost him or his family or someone around him dearly. And those are the types of situations that majority of the young men that I have come in contact with while I was in prison, because I also myself served jail time and went to prison. So I know that the type of background that those guys are faced with. You know, it's a shame that, you know, we're 67% of the prison population, but we're only 23% of the American society. So you can see the heavy one-sided way of the minorities in prison versus the other cultures. And one of those things coming from our environment, it's a system. And until we get away from that system and we break the curse of the system, then we're going to continue to fall into those diverse temptations. And those are the types of things that you're going to find in neighborhoods that are going to be near railroad tracks. So, you know, you have things come into the railroad tracks, through the railroads, give you opportunity to break on the train, get guns out. Now you got guns in the community. So it's all been played out in a way to where we was put in positions, but it's no excuse, because it has been opportunities as well. I come up in the public school system. I didn't go to a private school. It wasn't spoon-fed. It wasn't a silver spoon kid. It wasn't a booster parent kid or anything. Went through the public school system, studied hard, worked hard, earned a full ride scholarship, you know, to the University of Alabama, a major university. So there are opportunities in there, but statistically, those opportunities are few and far between. And we'll get a 1 or 2 or 3, but we got to think about the whole picture. It's a bigger picture. And some of the men that are faced with decision making in not knowing any better, some of it becomes lack of knowledge. And when you're not put out in a place to where you can explore and you can go out and you can learn and you can go abroad and travel and see things different from where you come from, then you can get stuck into that. I know some guys that I grew up with. Fear of leaving an unfamiliar or going into an unfamiliar territory and not being able to survive. So, and that's a trap, because it's been heavily promoted that this is the way that we should act. This is the way that we should carry on. Let's channel all the media and everything that we have. Let's channel it to those type of environments, and let's keep them focused on this and not show them what's out here in reality. And that can sometimes cause people to make poor decisions as well.
So would it
for people that grew up like in a small town or area like you, that, like you said, your friends don't, what would you offer them, or what would you give them to say, hey, this is what you might want to do or change something? What kind of advice would you give them?
I would give them to take advantage of any opportunity to travel. You know, travel is the way to break those barriers. When you get outside and then you actually able to see what's going on. I can give you one example of what happened to me when I was 12 years old. And, you know, when you go into school and they pull out this relief map, you know, everybody can probably remember, I don't know if they even still have relief maps in school, but it was a map that would, when it's a mountain, the mountain would be raised, or when it's a valley, the valley would be low, the highways would be carved out. If it's grass, it's a tree, it's a stump, whatever it is, it's a relief map. And I would always see that map in the classroom, but until I actually went out to California and rode on a bus from Alabama to California, and I was seeing the same things that I was seeing on the relief map, is when it really kicked in. I had seen this relief map for plenty of days in school, but until I actually went through those mountains and went through those canyons, I never really felt what a mountain or a canyon was. So traveling is going to be the biggest barrier breaker for a person to get outside of their community, do things, to explore, to get out, learn new things, meet new people, and just try to commingle with other cultures.
Yeah. I love how you said that, because we talk about this all the time, that it is so important for you to see what's beyond your front porch. And a lot of times people think of traveling as getting on an airplane, because what you just said was it became real to you. But we try to encourage people the same way, because we didn't grow up with means. I come from working people, but one thing that I am very grateful for, because it extended my thinking as far as traveling, is even when we couldn't get on an airplane, they put us in the car.
Correct.
And they showed us different things, so we saw that there were options outside.
Correct.
So even for people who can't right now buy a plane ticket, put some gas in the car and let not only yourself, but let your children, because your children are only going to go as far as you permit them to see.
That's right.
So I appreciate that, because you got to see what's beyond your front porch.
You have to, and it's very important that you get the chance to explore.
Yes.
Yeah, and we talk about that all the time. Don't go anywhere, everybody. We'll be right back. You're listening to Destiny Talk Live. I'm your host, Cherry G.
My savings are gone.
Okay, where were they last?
Here, right before I spent them on that vacation to Aruba.
Weird. Not weird. Not saving now means no money later. For free ways to save, go to feedthepig.org. This message brought to you by the American Institute of CPAs and the Ad Council.
You don't usually get a stock tip from a 16-year-old, but I'm here to tell you about a different kind of stock. It's called Better Futures, a stock for social change that's not about making money. Instead, you invest to help students like me go to college. This is beyond a simple donation. It's the opportunity for America to invest in its kids and take an active stake in the future of the country. The return on your investment isn't money. What you get back is knowing you protected our potential. So one day, that potential can grow up to become surgeons and architects, executives and engineers, people who can change the future just by being a part of it. My name is Alicia, and I'm your dividend.
Invest in better futures with UNCF. Visit uncf.org. This announcement brought to you by UNCF and the Ad Council.
Uncle Dan?
Mom? Dad?
If you store your guns properly, so not just anyone can get to them.
I'll feel safer when I'm playing outside. Safer when walking home.
Safer when my friends come over. As your neighbor, I'll feel safer.
As a school teacher, I'll feel safer.
We'll all feel safer.
Your family, friends, and neighbors are all counting on you. If you own a gun, you have a full-time responsibility. When you aren't using it, be sure it can't get into the hands of curious children, troubled teenagers, a thief, or anyone else who might misuse it. Remember, always lock it up. For more information on firearm storage safety, visit ncpc.org. This message brought to you by the National Crime Prevention Council, the Bureau of Justice Assistance, and the Ad Council.
Hi, this is Terry Crews, actor, former football player, and father of 5. I'm also an expert on drama. There's the good kind that comes with having a house full of kids, and there's silly drama like the drama around my percolating pectorals. And then there's the drama you can skip.
Skip the drama that comes with not having your high school diploma or equivalency. Find free adult education classes near you and finish your diploma. Visit finishyourdiploma.org. That's finishyourdiploma.org.
And leave the drama to actors like me.
Brought to you by the Dollar General Literacy Foundation and the Ad Council.
Meet former Dallas Cowboy Sherman Williams as he makes his way through Atlanta to Arlington, Texas for the release of Crimson Cowboy, Peace Between the Lines. Don't miss your time to gain valuable insight on how to avoid the pitfalls of success. For appearance information, please go to info@palmerwilliamsgroup.org.
If you're looking for that ratchet, you're in the wrong place. It's the nation's urban internet station, Sensation Station Network.
Up in the sky, it's a bird.
It's a plane.
Welcome back to Destiny Talk Live. I'm your host, Cherry G. coming to you every Thursday at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You guys, we got Sherman on the show with us today, Mr. Sherman Williams. You guys have a lot of comments and a lot of questions. I promise you I will get to them. If you guys are listening to us on TuneIn and you want to text your comment or you want to call into the show and ask Sherman the question yourself, please dial 678-613-5857. If you are listening to us on Facebook, go ahead and type your comment in the comment section and we'll get with you. I'm going to read one of them right now. Ted Bear says, Sherman, he said, Mr. Sherman Williams, definitely one of my favorite players because you made it do what it do and you always stay focused. And I used to call you. Now you see him, now you don't. My opinion, it would never be another Sherman shaking machine. Hardcore said, thank you for answering his questions.
You're welcome.
And Barry Gibson, thank you so much for tuning in. He said he's super excited about you sharing your insight with the Cowboys fans because it's good to know a little bit more about you. And everyone else, I will get to you and your comments in a few seconds. But I want to talk to my ladies because you being very popular in high school, I know you had them all on you.
Yeah.
You know, because and we do that, right?
Yes.
You know, you're an athlete, and it's like, girl, you better get on him because he's going somewhere. You know. So I know you had to run into that, and I know when you got to college, we're gonna wait for. Let's do high school first, because college I know is off the chain.
Yeah.
But before we get to college, and I ask you a question that a viewer has, what was it like in high school with you being popular and so forth? I know there wasn't a shortage, but how were you as a person with the ladies?
Well, my mother raised me, and I always had respect for the females. And that was a thing that my mother always told me. You know, I was raised with two sisters as well. So I always loved females. I always tell guys right now the best thing that God created was a woman. So
he get five. You get high five.
You know, people talk about cars and clothes and diamonds and pearls and all these types of things, but I tell them quick, hey, the woman is the most important thing because ain't no feeling you're gonna get better than you're gonna get from the woman. So I always tell them that. Any guys tell me that, and they know that. I mean, that's just what it is. But I always had a chemistry or charisma or whatever, a sense of humor or whatever that fed into what women see in men. And I don't know if I was just an attractive young man or anything like that, but I always, you know, had a girlfriend, never went without having female companionship and that type of thing. I always had a date for the prom. Even in junior high school, 7th grade prom, 8th grade prom, I always had a date. You know, people were interested in hanging out with me, girls or whatever. And, you know, I never had a problem in that area of being attracted to a woman or a woman being attracted to me. I just never had that problem. So I think that a woman is going to be a woman. And you're going to have a different personality no matter what. You know, you got women that act like men, you got men that act like women, you got women that act like women, and men that act like men. You know,
we got a gamut.
You just, you know, everybody has their own personality, and, you know, there's only one person that can judge, and that's the Almighty Creator. But I feel like that it's certain qualities that a woman possesses that a man could never possess, and I think there's certain qualities that a man possesses that a woman could never possess. All because of the mighty Creator. It's just the way things was ordered, the way things were commanded, and that's just the way it is. But I think that women are very, very special. I think that to give birth, to carry a kid and give birth and be blessed through childbearing and come out and be a nurturing spirit and all those types of things, I mean, this goes back to all ancient times in history. Just even James Brown is a man's world wouldn't be nothing without a woman's touch. All these types of things are reality, and I feel him when he say that, and I believe that, and I believe that it's very important for us as men to step up and treat the women the way that they should be treated. I say myself, you know, I prefer my own kind of black woman. That's what I prefer, you know, and I don't say nothing wrong with interracial relationships, because all people are special, you know, all women are special, man, all men are special for that amount. But, you know, I just think that women should really carry themselves at a higher esteem than men. I just think so, you know, because they have a much higher responsibility. I think women have a much higher responsibility than men, you know, being a provider, is just really simple. It's not really hard to be a provider. All you got to do is work.
And that's awesome that you said that. We're gonna dub you the stud muffin on the show because you said you don't have no problem with none of that. So he's a stud muffin. That's what you're gonna be for us, stud muffin Williams. All right.
all right.
But I'm sure. I mean, Central, you have any questions for him about high school women or college, whatever?
So you know what, Sherman, I like how you said that. You see the value in women. That's what I'm hearing from you. But we know what high school and things like that. Did you ever encounter a young woman who was willing to kind of compromise? That's the word. Thank you, Cherry. Compromise herself for the sake of saying, Sherman Williams is my boyfriend. And how did you?
Well, you always gonna have that.
Deal with that. Just, did you give into that, or did you say, you know what? Wait a minute.
Of course.
Okay.
I mean, of course.
Right.
I mean, come on. Let me see. What can you do? What have you done lately? It's all this. You got to use what you got to get what you want. All these things comes into play. But yes, of course, when in high school, and notoriety and fame at a young age, being an All-American in high school and that type of thing came with a certain amount of fame and notoriety. Being recruited by Division I schools all over the United States of America, and people knowing about that, being in the newspaper, doing 10 o'clock news, doing interviews. So you're gonna get that fame, and you're gonna be attract a certain crowd of people from being famous. People are drawn to that, and then if you're being successful, you was winning. I won a state championship in high school, national championship in college, and a Super Bowl with the Cowboys. So you put all of that together, fame, then winning. I mean, it's just a combination for people to be attracted to.
Right.
And with that comes a certain amount of responsibility, and in certain times you have to make certain decisions. And I made all the wrong decisions.
Okay. I was saying
I made all the wrong decisions.
Hold that thought, stud.
More decisions.
Station Network.
Break yourself, fool!
Indoor baseball, anyone?
Most party fouls are pretty dumb, but if you decide to drink and drive underage, you could lose your license and your freedom. Learn more at ultimatepartyfoul.org. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Marie Callender's knows that you may not have time to... She knows you may not have a moment to crimp the edges of your...
And then there was one that wanted to know what his experience was at Alabama.
And when she's done, all you need to do is find time to grab someone special. Sit down and savor. Marie Callender's, it's time to savor.
Welcome back to Destiny Talk Live. I'm your host, Cherry G. You're listening to A Woman's Worth. If you are listening and on TuneIn and you want to text in or call your comment, go ahead at 678-613-5857. If you're listening to us on Facebook, go ahead and type your comment in the comment section and we'll get to your comments. Again, like I said, today we got Sherman Williams on the show. He's talking to us about his journey, his rise and his fall, and where he is right now. Just before the break, we were talking about how Stud Muffin here said he had made all the wrong decisions. That's his new nickname for me. And I know you said, high school, you had them at you. Now, college is a whole different ball game.
That's right.
And you went to the University of Alabama, and I'm going to tell you right now, I wasn't there with you.
Roll Tide.
Roll Tide.
Yeah, absolutely
I can
right.
tell you that I don't know, but I want you to tell us. I know you ran into all kind of compromises.
Yeah.
All kind of, hey, Sherman, I'm going to give you this favor. I'm your girl. But have you ever had those situations? And I'm going to ask because I want to know.
That's right.
Did you have girls fighting over you and just acting a straight donkey because they wanted to be with Stud Muffin here?
Well, you can't control each and every person. You got so many personalities come at you, and when you have the light shining on you, it's hard to see the other side. So, yes, sometimes young ladies would get into physical altercations and try to, I don't know what they considered themselves was going to do to each other, but I didn't think that was something that I wanted to be involved in because violence wasn't the answer for me. I didn't think that, I always felt like it was a resolution. I always had that. I never really wanted any type of physical altercations to take place between women, especially with me being in the middle of it, But it's unfortunate that it has happened. But, hey, you learn. This even happened in high school.
Oh.
So, people learn and you move on. And that's not something that I applaud, something that I, cherish or promote or anything like that. I just really think that it's better ways to come to solutions other than physical altercations. And that's just how I always been, though. I always been the man of reason and think that we can think through anything and talk our way out of anything, because I feel like there's no need unless it's actual war. If you're actually in some type of war, then I could see. But just for companionship, just to be in physical conflict, just for companionship of a male or a female, I just never really felt that was something that I never fought over a female. I never say, hey, I have an attitude with another man because he's with a female that I want to be with, or I'm with a female that he want to be. I never had that physical altercation over a female.
Well, I want to come back because when I get your answer on how your experience was at Alabama. Don't go anywhere, guys. You're listening to Destiny Talk Live. I'm your host, Cherry G.
Great leaders aren't born. They're made, and not just anywhere. They're made in special places by special qualified trainers in places like the Academy of Creative Coaching. The Academy of Creative Coaching is an international certification program with courses in health and wellness coaching, spiritual coaching, relationship coaching, executive coaching, life coaching, and cultural competency coaching. Courses are online, hybrid, or face-to-face. The Academy of Creative Coaching is empowering coaches to empower the world. Make a positive change in yourself and the world. Go to academyofcreativecoaching.com.
Listen, as a hiring manager, I've got to tell you, the best job candidate isn't always the typical candidate. Sometimes they're a grad of life.
Meet the grads of life. Young adults of unique determination and experience. An ideal fit for your company in an entry-level position, internship, or mentorship. They might not have every qualification you typically look for, but they're exactly who your company needs.
Sometimes the best candidates aren't the ones you're used to.
Go to gradsoflife.org to learn how to find, cultivate, and train this great pool of untapped talent. Brought to you by the Ad Council and gradsoflife.org.
Meet former Dallas Cowboy Sherman Williams as he makes his way through Atlanta to Arlington, Texas for the release of Crimson Cowboy, Peace Between the Lines. Don't miss your time to gain valuable insight on how to avoid the pitfalls of success. For appearance information, please go to info@palmerwilliamsgroup.org.
Listen, as a hiring manager, I've got to tell you, the best job candidate isn't always the typical candidate. Sometimes they're a grad of life.
Meet the grads of life. Young adults of unique determination and experience. An ideal fit for your company in an entry-level position, internship, or mentorship. They might not have every qualification you typically look for, but they're exactly who your company needs.
Sometimes the best candidates aren't the ones you're used to.
Go to gradsoflife.org to learn how to find, cultivate, and train this great pool of untapped talent. Brought to you by the Ad Council and gradsoflife.org.
And so a new American industry has been born.
Sensation Station Network.
Welcome back to Destiny Talk Live. I'm your host, Cherry G, and our co-host, Santrell G, on the radio with you today. And we got Sherman Williams in the house. We have been talking about a man's worth, superwomen, and now we're going to be talking about family ties. If you are listening to us on TuneIn Radio and you want to type in your comment or text it or call, 678-613-5857. And if you are listening to us on Facebook, go ahead and type your comment in the comment section and we'll get back with you. And again, like we said earlier in our broadcast, Facebook Live broadcast, those listeners that are tuned in right now and those that are calling, we got a special guest, special gift for you for participating in today's show. But before we go on, Santrell had one question she wanted to talk to you about.
Let's do it.
So Sherman, this is back to a woman's worth before we move on to family ties.
Man,
so
you can't get past that. That's
because you know what, you're coming from an angle that's so good. You know, even like you said, you may have kind of veered this way in the fame days, but you still have a very good your root as far as who women are and their value. I really am digging that. So my question to you is for especially young girls, because it starts earlier and earlier, for those who are attracted to the student athlete or the popular boy who's considering becoming something that she doesn't necessarily want to become so that she can be with that person, what advice would you give her?
I would just make it really simple. Get your own. Get your own. Don't fall into the necessity of having to have someone to provide or having to have someone to where you feel like you can't have your own, so you have to depend on a man to be able to. This is the advice that I would give my daughter. I talk to my daughter about this. I would tell her, just, get your own, get your education to where you're not held into the necessity of that companionship, because you can't afford to sustain your life. You can't afford to eat. You can't do for yourself. Get your own.
I love it.
Have your own at all times.
Yes.
To where you're not dependent. And when you become 18 years old, you're considered an adult in the United States of America, and you hold to a high of standard of your own responsibility. You're responsible for your own actions.
I love it.
If you do anything, you're going to have to pay
Deal
the
with those
rewards or
consequences.
get
That's
the
right.
consequences. So you shouldn't put your responsibility off on another person.
That's right.
You get your own. And that's woman should be just at the house and just totally dependent on the man to do everything. I believe that everyone has a role. Two people working together is much better than one person. So I believe that.
I put it together, then you're gonna
I
definitely
love
have
it.
some.
I
So
love
I
it.
tell them to get their own.
Now,
Get your own.
you kind of segue right on into our little family ties
Okay.
section, and I love that.
Yes.
Because the question was, a lot of question is, do you have kids? You have a daughter. How old is your daughter?
My daughter is 17 years old.
Oh, wow.
So she's
Is she 17?
no, don't
She's
do that
17.
stuff.
She's 17.
So
I just
she's
thought
about-
about you. She's a senior in high school.
Right.
Okay.
So she got her license this year, but we waited a year before she actually got the driver's license.
Okay.
So that's how I got kind of mixed up, because she
Yeah.
was wanting a driver's license at 16, but we waited a year till she was 17. She's a senior in high school, be graduating this year and going to college next year.
That's pretty awesome.
Nice.
We always talk about how it's important for parents to be parents together for their kids. Now, are you married?
Yes.
Okay, so you guys have a great relationship with working and raising your children?
Yes.
You just have the one girl?
No, I have 4 kids.
Okay.
We have a mixed blended family.
Okay,
nice.
that's awesome.
Yeah.
Nice.
Say, we talk about that
All
too,
the
a blended
time.
family.
That's right.
How difficult was that?
Well, you're always going to have people that's going to have other ideas, and, people you have outside parents, step-parents, stepmothers, stepfathers, so you're going to always have a sense where you have to work over something, work through something. It's just one of those things that I was speaking about earlier, that you have to be able to communicate. Communication is going to be the key to anything.
right.
No matter what kind of relationship it is, it's always going to be communication. If you communicate, you get the proper words out, you get the proper expression out, everybody get on the same page, and communication can solve everything.
All right.
You're listening to Destiny Talk Live. I'm your host, Cherry G.
I'm taking over this territory. From now on, it's mine.
Vince Lombardi once said that it's hard to be aggressive when you're confused. Some of us think that taking our lives to the next level, both personally and professionally, is a confusing and complicated process. Guess what? It's not, and I can prove it. My book, Truisms, will show you how living your life by rules that are so self-evident and obvious, you'll say, I knew that. This powerful yet short, detailed bestseller is on sale right now, under $10. Go to michaelmcfadden.com. That's michaelmcfadden.com, and let Truisms help you to the next level.
Great leaders aren't born. They're made, and not just anywhere. They're made in special places by special qualified trainers in places like the Academy of Creative Coaching. The Academy of Creative Coaching is an international certification program with courses in health and wellness coaching, spiritual coaching, relationship coaching, executive coaching, life coaching, and cultural competency coaching. Courses are online, hybrid, or face-to-face. The Academy of Creative Coaching is empowering coaches to empower the world. Make a positive change in yourself and the world. Go to academyofcreativecoaching.com.
Indoor baseball, anyone?
Most party fouls are pretty dumb, but if you decide to drink and drive underage, you could lose your license and your freedom. Learn more at ultimatepartyfoul.org. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
JBT 700 Miami Circle 30324. It's not a chain, it's a chain reaction. Invest $49 a month at a real gym. For more info, go to facebook.com/Jeans Body Tech.
Welcome back to Destiny Talk Live. I'm your host, Cherry G, and co-host Santrell G. We're here with Sherman Williams. We're super excited because you guys know I'm a huge Dallas Cowboy fan, so this is awesome for me. If you are listening to the show and you want to text in your comment, it's 678-613-5857. Even if you have a question, call in. We would love to hear from you, and Sherman will answer your questions. If you're listening to us on Facebook, go ahead and type your comment in the comment section, and we'll get back with you. Now, I have a comment here from William Thomas. He said, keep up the good work, Sherman. We need more positive people like yourself on the front lines. He said, P.S. Still mad at Langham for that interception TD against my Gators, but glad you beat the Miami in 92 for the championship. Stay strong.
Good deal.
So, you know.
He's a Florida Gator.
Yeah, he's a Gator, yeah. I know it's sad, though.
You know how it goes. Well, you know, Tebow was good. They had some good years.
Who?
Tim Tebow.
Oh, okay.
He took them to a couple championships.
Okay.
And, you know, but.
Y'all see, I had to give him the side eye, right?
Yeah.
I'm a FSU fan, so
okay.
yeah, I'm Florida State.
You got 2 or 3 in your closet somewhere.
We got some stuff up in there,
you know. Somewhere.
I really do. Again, I like the fact that you're here.
Right. Thanks
because
for having
me. Even with the chatter off air and the fact that you talk about stuff that's personal and so forth in your book, guys, if you have not read, I've read The Crimson Cowboy. I have not got the other one, but I am going to get it. It really was an inspiration to me because I was telling Santrell, and I mentioned this to him a while back, that when I got the book and I went and found my picture that we took 2 years ago when I first got that.
Absolutely.
After reading the book, it really inspired me to push for my Destiny Talk and the things that we were doing. So, you know, here I was embarrassed about me, and I wasn't nobody in the spotlight. Right. But, man, you since you were in elementary, middle school, high school, college, to the NFL, I mean, you had a lot to lose.
Right.
And you had, I'm sure, the spotlight was on you like crazy. And like I was telling Santrell and doing research, I was listening and reading some of the comments people made. And, you know, I just want to put this out there. Any of you guys out there that has a glass house and you can throw it, then throw the stone. But I don't see anybody out there with a glass house. Everybody makes mistakes. It's what you do when you make that mistake. You can either continue down a negative path, or you could come and do what he's doing. He's out here trying to save our children and young men and women from being or making the same mistakes that he's made.
Right.
Like I do that, Santrell did that.
Exactly. We talk about transparency all the time because the transparency that we're willing to give is for somebody else. So it has nothing to do, shame is out the door when you realize that your life is not about you. And we talk about this all the time. You get rid of that shame because you know what, somebody else can learn from you, your success, the fact that you're moving forward despite what happened to you in the past. It shows somebody that, you know what, I've made mistakes, but I can keep it moving. I'm not the only one, because I would imagine that you could feel like it's just me out here. I'm the only one that this has happened to.
Right.
But somebody else seeing you and what you're doing right now can say, you know what, it's not just me. I'm not in this. And if Sherman did it, so can I.
Do it.
Definitely.
You know?
And that's what it's about. And that's the purpose. That's the mission. That's what we all about in our organization, the Palmer Williams Group. We are about helping young people. Our mission statement is to help today's youth see a better tomorrow. That's our mission statement. And that is the whole purpose of everything that I feel like our program is about and our life existence is about. It's about passing down lessons, passing down life lessons so people can learn from our mistakes. Everything has a purpose. It's up to the individual, like you said, to make a change, to go out and use their mistakes as a purpose to benefit someone else. And that's what I wrote the book, The Crimson Cowboy, about. It's about my life. People see the football side of it, but it's really not a football book. for anybody
No,
that
it's
reads
not.
the book.
It's not.
It's not a football book. It's a book about life choices, making decisions,
Yes.
outcomes, working hard, trying to make it to the NFL, going to prison, getting out, using the prison experience to get back in the community where I come from, knowing what those kids are going through because I went through it. I'm a living testimony of both sides, of going to the highs of high, winning a Super Bowl with the Cowboys. Can't go no higher than the Super Bowl. No bowl bigger than the Super Bowl. Then going to the lowest of low, going to prison, serving jail time, going through transit situations, wearing handcuffs, being shackled, stripped down, butt naked, and all these types of things. So I've been to the lowest of humiliation, and I've been to the highs of elation. So anything in between is a learning experience.
Wow.
And it's my purpose to share that.
You said something in one of the articles I was reading that about how when you first got there, you were still doing negative behavior.
Correct.
You just kept doing the things you knew you weren't supposed to be
Correct.
doing. I mean, what made it turn
Right.
around for you? What
happened?
What happened?
Well, like I said, when coming from that environment as a kid, you don't blame the environment. You don't blame no one else for your own decision making because you have a choice. Everybody. Go into this store and come out of there, I'll steal this bike, take these bike parts off this bike that don't belong. Nobody put a gun to my head and tell me to go out there and go give somebody some drugs, put drugs in the community, give drugs to people and sell drugs. Nobody put the gun to my head. I had a choice to make that decision. But at the same time, over a period of time, you see things, and it's hard to break bad habits.
Wow.
No matter what habits it is, good habits or bad habits, it's hard to break habits. So when I first got into the prison situation and was off in the institution, things are still available. People think that when you go to prison, are you just going to be without? It's certain things that you are without. I understand that, the companionship of the opposite sex and that type of thing, if you're in an all-male facility and you're in an all-women's facility. But there are choices that you still have to make because you can use dope, you can smoke drugs in prison, you can use alcohol, you can run tickets, you can gamble, you can fight, you can do whatever you want to do. You can participate in homosexual activity if you choose. But it's so many choices that you have to make. And when I first got in there, I continued some of my negative behavior, some of the things that I was accustomed to growing up and smoking weed, using marijuana on a regular basis, still selling, dealing marijuana, trying to get the best deal, having deals, breaking the laws, breaking the rules, doing the jailhouse religion thing, going to church, getting in the Bible, and just, still doing different things that wasn't going to produce the change I wanted to have in my life.
Wow.
So after a period of time, it just came to a point to where I say, look, this is where I am now. This is what got me to this place. Do I want to spend the rest of my life in this type of situation? Because prison is not just the four walls and the bars. You can be in a financial prison. You can be held to bills that's, you living above your means and knowing the bills coming in. Now you thinking every day you in that financial prison. People are in marriages that are not good. They in a marital prison. Just because you're not behind bars, that don't mean you're not in prison. So you can be in different types of prisons. But with my situation being actually in the jail system with the prison, I felt like I didn't want to continue. I had to make a change, so I became a vegetarian. I stopped using drugs. I stopped drinking alcohol, and I started living a more healthy, cleaner, spiritual life. And those are the things that people have to do. You're not going to do it. If you continue to do the same thing, you're going to get the same results.
That's
well,
right.
I got because I saw this too in a comment, and I want to bring it out because a lot of people say, I think I saw it on one of your newscasts. Someone said, so he did all this bad stuff, and now he found Jesus. They always find Jesus. And my comment to that is Jesus isn't lost. So
Right.
you didn't have to find him.
Exactly.
Okay.
No doubt.
He was already there.
Hey,
But and for those people that aren't into the religious aspect, we're not really talking to you. We're just talking about him and his faith.
Right,
Exactly.
Right.
And then
I know what jailhouse religion is. I have did jailhouse religion. I know what jailhouse religion is.
Right.
I know how I felt when I was just pretending because this is what the group of the people wanted to see and the people wanted to do. So there is a such thing as jailhouse religion.
Right.
People go into jail and then they all of a sudden start to be more into the Bible and that type of thing, which is a good thing.
It's a good
because
thing.
if they can find peace and help them get to another situation, keep them from killing somebody or anything like that, is a great thing. I don't never knock that, but you don't have to be find Jesus like you said.
Right.
It's gonna be.
He gonna find you. He's already.
And for somebody who that's not their choice, it's just responsibility for your behavior.
Right.
You're listening to Destiny Talk Live. I'm your host, Cherry G.
Everybody successful lays a blueprint out. You laid the blueprint out. I stayed true to my dreams. And by doing that, eventually it came true.
A lot of times, you know, it's like in life, right? Life brings like drama, and you got to deal with this person, and then you funky relationship here, and all these things. You try and just kind of balance them out as best I can.
Make a choice, right? You just decide what it's going to be, who you're going to be, how you're going to do it. Just decide. And then from that point, the universe is going to get out your way.
Everybody wants to be a beast until it's time to do what real beasts do.
Unleash your beast. Write your history.
You cannot let a fear of failure, or a fear of comparison, or a fear of judgment stop you from doing what it is.
Let's talk about destiny.
We have been having a great conversation. He's sharing with us his insight on men, women, and family, and just life in general. If you are listening to us at TuneIn Radio, go ahead and text your comment or call to 678-613-5857. If you're listening to us on Facebook, go ahead and type your comment in the comment section, and we'll get back with you. We are now talking about a man's worth. You know, and Sherman, you have said a lot of stuff that is just awesome on how, and I love the fact that you're just being very transparent, just raw with it.
Absolutely.
Before we get into talking about stuff, we want to ask what your advice would be to young men in sports and those young men that aren't in sport, just men that are come from a background that you have been in, or just men in general. We want to ask you give us a little bit about what your books are about.
Before we go any further, I just want to go back on what we was ending on before we got to break about the jailhouse religion thing. I want people to understand, you know, when I'm speaking, I always make it known that I'm not perfect.
Okay.
You know, I still have my struggles, you know, with the same things all the time, you know. The devil is not going to come at you with things that he know that you can overcome.
Right.
You understand? He's always going to bring those temptations to you that's going to be a real temptation. And I have a struggle all the time. I love women, you know, and I still love women. I still feel like women are very, you know, attractive. And I do. I struggle with that, you know, and it's just one of those things. And I don't want people to get the impression that just because now I write books and I help kids that now my life is all laid out, it's all perfect. It's not a day of worry, not a day of struggle, not a day of, you have to have prayer and meditation on a daily basis. I need to pray. I need people to pray for me. I don't have it all figured out. I'm still going through this journey. I'm still learning, and I still have my setbacks to where I have to go and repent and then pray and ask God to forgive me on a daily basis because I am human. And just because you come and you change and you make a change for the better, that don't mean things are just going to always be in your favor or everything is just going to be rosy for you. You're still going to have to struggle.
You know what? I'm glad you said that. Okay, because, and we'll get back to the question I asked you about your book. We'll get back to that. But this is it, because you brought this up, and I want to say this. We have been getting a lot of these comments about, you know, men. You said you like women, and you still struggle with that don't want to admit when they do stuff wrong. You know? And it causes problems. What do you do? Since you say stud muffin, you like women.
Yeah, I love women. Women is beautiful.
How do you fight that temptation, and what advice would you give to a young man that's married or dating with someone else, not to fall into that temptation to go after someone else, to violate those vows?
It's a tough road, man. It's tough, and you just have to be strong, and not to say that I won't fall or I can't fall or I haven't failed. Not to say that I'm above it. But it's a thing to where you have to be in self-control. You have to have self-control. If you falling for anything, you got to stand up for something.
Right.
And
that.
you got to have a sense of a mentality to some lines you're just not gonna cross, and certain things you're just not gonna do. And not to say that it can't happen. It can happen to anybody. If you're not careful, because I know from experience, and I would just say, just stay prayed up, man. Just keep God first, and even if you fall off the wagon, don't beat yourself up. Don't commit suicide. Please don't commit suicide, because you can always get right.
For our listeners that aren't faith-based, and those guys that don't believe in a higher power or whatever, what would you say to them to keep them from doing temptations, like that? If they don't believe in a higher power.
One thing about it, one thing gonna take you further than anything is respect.
Okay.
Respect your others.
Okay.
Respect the people. If you know you're being disrespectful, don't be disrespectful. Just respect everybody. If you give respect, you're gonna receive respect in return. So even if you might make some mistakes and make some poor decisions, make some choices that not gonna be beneficial to you, be respectful.
And own up to your mess. That's what we tell people all the time. You got to look in the mirror, and if you can't talk to that person in the mirror, you got a problem.
Right.
You got a problem there. And William Thomas, one of our listeners, said, "God even counts our faithfulness as righteousness." So that's a good thing. And yes, William Palmer is David Palmer. You guys stay tuned. When we come back to Destiny Talk Live, we got some more from Sherman Williams.
Sensation Station Network. Never achieved before.
I'm more resourceful than I thought.
My suit can still make an impression.
My video games are still game changers.
And my lamp can bring others a bright future.
Because when I donate my stuff to Goodwill,
it helps fund job placement and training for people right in my community.
Now my stuff gets a second chance.
And will give someone in my community
a second chance too.
Goodwill. Donate stuff, create jobs. Find your nearest donation center at goodwill.org. That's goodwill.org. This message brought to you by Goodwill and the Ad Council.
Driving has a rhythm all its own. Don't wreck it with a text. Before you get behind the wheel, silence your phone. Or better yet, designate a texter. For more text-free driving tips, visit stoptextstoprex.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council and the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration.
Green light. Hey girl. School zone. I'm getting hungry. Car changing lanes. You want to meet me for pizza? Stop sign. Intersection clear. Yeah, street. Pizza sounds good. Ballin Street? Girlin Street!
it's hard to concentrate on two things at once, like texting and driving. Stop the text, stop the wrecks. How will you stop texting and driving? Tell us at stoptextstoprex.org. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
We're more connected than ever before. 90% of America's students use some form of social media, but not all of it's used in a good way. Hurtful posts online are leading to social isolation for many. Psychologists say it's bullying in a brand new way. Well, Beyond Differences and I Keep Safe are looking to change that with ideas for students, their parents, and even teachers. Take the pledge to be kind online and learn more at wearekindonline.com.
Meet former Dallas Cowboy Sherman Williams as he makes his way through Atlanta to Arlington, Texas for the release of Crimson Cowboy, Peace Between the Lines. Don't miss your time to gain valuable insight on how to avoid the pitfalls of success. For appearance information, please go to info@palmerwilliamsgroup.org.
Welcome back to Destiny Talk Live. I'm your host, Cherry G. We are talking to Sherman Williams. You guys, if you've been tuned in, you know, he's been giving us some really good insight and really just encouraging our young folks and our men and women
That's
to make,
right.
you know, right decisions. And just before the break, we were talking about how he said, you know, don't think just because he's out and he's writing books and he's doing the things that he's not tempted,
That's
because
right.
you still get tempted.
That's right. Life's still happening.
Life is still happening, and it's a constant struggle
That's
to
right.
always be on your game and do stuff. Now, you have the Palmer Williams organization. We know where the Williams come from. Tell us about Palmer.
My partner is David Palmer, who also played at the University of Alabama with me, and we met in high school playing in the Alabama-Mississippi All-Star game. He was one of the players. He was actually Mr. Football of our class, and I was just the MVP. So we had an instant connection because we both came from a similar background.
Okay.
And his city he was from was called Pratt City, a small city in Birmingham, Alabama. And Pritchard, where I'm from, is a mirror image, you know, the predominantly urban community, black culture, same crime ridden, and, you know, people just making poor decisions and that type of thing, not affluent at all, and lack of resources, that type of thing. So we had a similar background, so we instantly clicked when we met each other. And we both had signed and committed to the university, and from that day that we met, we said we was going to be roommates when we got to college. And we was roommates from college, and he left in the draft early, and I was behind him 1 year, but we had a brotherhood, a bond that was unbreakable. And, you know, even through my highs, we was together, and even through my lows, we've been together. And not only in mine, but his as well, you know. I was in college, suspensions from games and that type of thing, so he had his shares of trouble, so he has the experience as well to be able to tell the kids from his own life experience about making decisions that he made. Some good, some bad. He made it to the NFL. He had to make some good decisions. You don't just wake up one day and be in the NFL.
No.
So you have to sacrifice determination, discipline, and, you know, perfect your craft and all of that. So you have to make good decisions, but also he had his chance with his poor decisions, and he had to suffer some consequences for his poor decisions by being suspended and serving some days in jail and doing stuff like that. So we are two of a kind, and when I was in prison, we stayed in touch, and we decided that on my way out we would get together and we would form a organization that would help kids that have our similar background, and kids that come from environments, or kids who wanted to express themselves, that needed some way to get away from what they had been getting into and needed a positive outreach. And we decided we'll put our group together, the Palmer Williams Group. We are a 501c3 nonprofit organization. Everything we do benefits our organization. Book sales, photos, hats, T-shirts, jerseys, balls, whatever we do, speaking engagements or whatever. We help kids get involved in sports, get them off the streets, give them an opportunity to express themselves. We got cheerleader programs, we got soccer programs, we have a Life Sync Academy. We also have financial literacy, because one of the things that we know, is the financial literacy is not big in our environment, in our culture.
That's right. We do not have a good relationship with money.
We do not have a financial literacy component associated with our environment and our community. And you take kids like myself and like David, and you put them in the NFL, coming from our circumstances of not having disposable income to now you got a abundance of income. Is no way that you can expect those kids or us or those kids to be able to manage that money or be able to manage that lifestyle without those hiccups.
Even knowing about it.
It's
It's
no
not
way.
going to happen.
There's no way.
Not going to happen.
And that's one of the things that we know that we have to focus on and get those kids, even if they don't make $1 million, even if they working a job paying $1,000 a month, you need to know how to invest that $1,000. You need to know where that $1,000 is going to work best for you. You need to not put it in the brown paper bag and slap it up under the mattress, throw it up under the mattress like, you know, we used to do when we was kids. What you see your adults or your parents do, reach into their chest pocket. You know, your mama. My mama used to do it all the time. You know, she needs some bill money. She reach into the chest pocket. You know, her hand goes somewhere to disappear, and then she come out with some bill money. But we ain't gonna be doing that. What we gonna do? We gonna get us some legitimate bank accounts. We're gonna learn about checking. We're going to learn about balancing the checkbook. We're going to learn about our expenses. We're going to learn about our credits. We're going to learn about our debits. We're going to make everything balanced. We're going to have a surplus. We're going to understand what an investment means. When you put some money somewhere, you're expecting a return.
Right.
You ain't putting money there for somebody to come and rob you or steal you. You're putting money in a position to where you're expecting it to return.
That's right.
Now, you can imagine if we had this type of information when
Yes.
I was a kid, then the decision-making process would be a whole lot different.
That's
you
right.
won't be so tempted to get that drug or that pound of marijuana or that
or even,
10 pounds of cocaine and try to help somebody and get some dope and then try to make some money to keep some money because you don't know this money right here can work for you. You don't have to make those decisions. Your bills and everything can be covered without having to feel a panic.
Right.
You know, people get into a panic when they have money going out and no money coming in.
Yeah, well, I got one comment. One of our listeners says, ask Sherman when Ezekiel Elliott goes out, can he lace up and run behind Alfred? Hold your thoughts, guys. We're coming back. You're listening to Destiny Talk Live.
Okay, so 5 tacos of cheese and a large soda, that's $10,012. Please drive around.
Wait, 10,000 what?
It's obvious you're buzzed and driving.
I've only had a few. I'm fine.
Yeah, the food's $12, but getting pulled over for buzz driving could cost you around $10,000 in fines, legal fees, and increased insurance rates. Please drive around. Actually, just park and come in.
Nothing kills a buzz like getting pulled over for buzz driving, because buzz driving is drunk driving.
Drama, and you gotta deal with.
This is awesome. We need to get David on the show.
You try and just kind of balance them out as best I can.
Make a choice. Like, you just decide what it's going to be, who you're going to be, how you're going to do it. Just decide. And then from that point, the universe is going to get out your way.
Everybody wants to be a beast until it's time to do what real beasts do.
Unleash your beast. Write your history.
Welcome back to Destiny Talk Live. This is the part of the show where we say happy birthday to all those, November babies out there. So, Rodney Ivy of DeSoto, Texas. Eric Atkins of Orlando, Florida. Lejeune Sunshine Knox of York, South Carolina. Carolyn Butler of Memphis, Tennessee. Jackie Hernandez Martinez of Denver, Colorado. Roberto Alvarado of Lenox, California, and Arthur D. Rosamore from Lake Charles, Louisiana. Happy birthday to you guys out there. If you're celebrating, please be safe and enjoy your birthday. So happy birthday to you from Destiny Talk Live.
And you know what? I want to add 3 people who are actually on the same day.
Okay.
My good friend, colleague from CDC, Victoria Wright. My mother-in-law, Doris Green, who is in Buffalo, New York. And a very dear friend, Elizabeth Stewart, who is in Canupia, Trinidad. All of them, November 13th. You guys have a wonderful birthday.
Yes.
JBT 700 Miami Circle 30324. It's not a chain, it's a chain reaction.
Invest $49 a month at a real gym.
For more info, go to facebook.com/Jeans Body Tech. Meet former Dallas Cowboy Sherman Williams as he makes his way through Atlanta to Arlington, Texas for the release of Crimson Cowboy, Peace Between the Lines. Don't miss your time to gain valuable insight on how to avoid the pitfalls of success. For appearance information, please go to info@palmerwilliamsgroup.org.
Up in the sky, it's a bird.
It's a place!
Welcome back to Destiny Talk Live. I'm your host, Cherry G. We're talking with Sherman Williams. He's in the house, and my co-host, Santrell, here. We've been talking about positive choices and making decisions for our men. Now we're going to talk to our ladies, our super women. But if you are listening and you want to type in your comment and you're listening on Facebook, go ahead and put it in the comment section and we'll get back with you. If you're listening to tune in or you want to text or call in, please do at 678-613-5857. And at the end of the show, we're going to announce our listeners that have won their prize today for being involved. Before we move right all the way into the super women, Central said there's something she said off air. I want her to repeat on air.
Oh, absolutely. You know, Sherman, as you've described the things that you do with the youth, you teach them how to balance their checkbook, teach them how to have a good relationship with money, about being responsible for their behavior and so on. I said, you know what, I wonder if he realizes that everything that he has just described is captured by the one word within your mission statement, is see. You said you're helping the youth see a better tomorrow, and you're showing them, they're seeing because you're showing them different things. You're showing them that there are options, that you don't have to go to the NFL. If you work at Target and make $1,000 a month, I need you to know how to do this. I need you to understand how to live your life. So you are actually, everything that you guys do is within that one word, is see. You are showing them they are able to see something different so that they can see a better tomorrow.
Correct.
I think that's awesome.
And
go ahead.
It's very important that you have those examples because, like I was saying earlier in that relief map, you have that relief map, but if you don't have that live example, it's still going to be kind of cloudy because it's not real, it's not moving, it's not liquid. But when you have actual people in front of you and we actually have those kids in those chairs and they actually see a checkbook and they actually see things and then we actually putting it on the PowerPoint presentation and we showing them, hey, this is what it is. If you compound this, you compound the interest. When they're actually seeing it and we can give them the intangibles, then they have a better idea for understanding.
Now, as we're going into this section too, and Todd, I'm gonna ask him your question after I do this. You said you have daughters. How many girls do you have?
2.
You have 2 daughters.
Well, 4.
4. You have 4 daughters. And in this section, we always want to give advice to our young ladies. And it's tough out there.
Yes, it is.
Because, I have 2 girls, so trust me, I understand, thank God mine are married and they have great husbands, but you have 4 daughters. What kind of stuff do you talk to your daughters about, especially what you've been through?
Well, I tell my daughters, don't be looking for no joker with no nickname.
I love it.
No reason to bring no Ray and Pookadoo and Joe and all that around here. Listen, we need somebody what his mama call him, that's what we need to call him. And if his friends call him what his mama call him, and then he have a chance. Hey, that's one thing. Y'all better look out. Hey, they coming to the house with it. Pookadoo. What? Pookadoo? What Pookadoo? Get him off my porch. Listen. So, yeah, we talk about things like that. I tell my daughters, I always have fun with my daughters and everything. So, I just tell them, just like I said earlier, just be your own person. Don't depend on someone to make you who you are.
Right.
Follow your dreams, have some hopes, have some aspirations of your own. There's nothing wrong with supporting a person or helping a person reach their goals, but don't lose yourself.
Use yourself. I love it.
Lose yourself.
Yes.
I'm glad you said it because, I talk to my daughters about that, about having their own, you don't let your friends choose you, you choose them.
Yes.
Walk in your greatness. And it's funny, I laughed at you when you said, talk to nobody with a nickname. I was people thought I was crazy, but my daughters knew you couldn't, if you were a young man, you better not roll up at my doorstep with no wife beater on and some shorts or your pants hanging down and you looking like, okay, I'm going to shut the door on you. Don't knock on it again. We had that agreement, but I wanted them, you have to, you got to model what you want. That's what you got to look for. And so many, we had a conversation, 2 weeks ago? We were at our little favorite spot that we go and eat afterwards. A young lady was like, I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm quitting my job. I'm just going to look for a sugar daddy. And I was like,
exactly.
Whoa.
Yeah. It was very frightening because she's less than 20 years old.
Yeah, but, it's reality.
Yeah.
And you have those personalities out there that, it's the yin and the yang, the yin and the jang. you're going to have people that's going to have that. It's, for every negative is a positive.
Right.
You know?
That's right.
So you just have to be careful. You know, we're not going to hold a blind eye. I'm not going to try to hide society from my daughters.
Right.
You know, I'm telling them, look, it's out there. You know, it's definitely a real thing that people have those mentalities, but we're not going to fall into that. We're not going to follow that trend. We're going to be trendsetters, and we're not going to follow that because we know what's going to give us the more likely possibility to be successful. There's no guarantee that you're going to be successful. But we're going to take the route that's going to give us the more likely possibility.
Right.
You know, we talked about on one of our shows how it was very important for a man to be a part of their daughters' lives. You know, and yes, some of us have had their children grow up without their father, but they still come out balanced. It does not mean because your dad or your mama's not in the home that you got to be running amok. It doesn't, because you can be a hot mess and have both parents in the house.
Absolutely.
But
the preacher's daughter.
Right. What?
Yeah.
Them the worst ones. I'm sorry, y'all. I didn't mean to say that.
They
I said that affectionately because my dad, he always says that because he's a preacher's son, and he says we're the worst kind. So I'm not talking bad about anybody. I'm just saying a joke that my parents used to say. But
in the neighborhood, we say the same thing.
Yeah. So my thing for you and your daughters, because I know you have had to have those uncomfortable conversations with them.
Yeah.
How do you guys talk? Is it just like, hey, I mean, are you as real with them as you are like in your book and stuff like that? Or are you one of those parents that go, you know, I ain't, you know, act like you ain't never did certain things?
No. My book, my life is an open book. My daughters read my book. They read my book. They understand. They know. They read through and through. They know who I am. But at the same time, I'm the authority. See, we ain't going to be cool. I ain't going to be your buddy. I ain't going to be your friend. I'm the authority. You my daughter. I'm your father. We ain't going to have that bond to where we going to be buddy-buddy, because I got to give you real advice.
Right.
I got to give you stuff that's going to stick to you, not the buddy-buddy want to be cool. I can't say this because I might lose your friendship.
Oh, no.
I ain't going to do that.
Trying to be friends.
I got to be the father figure.
You're listening to Destiny Talk Live. I'm your host, Cherry G.
I am an American soldier.
I'm a warrior and a member of a team.
I serve the people of the United States and live the Army values.
I'm disciplined.
I am disciplined. Physically and mentally tough. Trained and proficient in my warrior tasks and drills.
I am an expert, and I am a professional. I stand ready to deploy, engage, and destroy
the enemies of the United States of America.
The worst thing a parent could do is trying to be friends with their kids. I mean, I'm friends, but they...
Head coach Tony Dungy.
At the end of my 6th year, I was fired, and it was one of the biggest disappointments of my life. Next year, I'm in Indianapolis, get to the playoffs, but get knocked out again. And for the next couple of years, it's the same thing. Everyone is saying Colts are never going to win one. And I did wonder, why didn't it pan out the way I thought it would? But I determined that I had to have Christ first, and that everything else came below that, including my own desires. The next year, that ended up being our year to go to the Super Bowl and win it, and it was a wonderful feeling. Every decision I make, I'm going to make it through the lens of Jesus Christ, and He'd guide us to that ultimate victory. I'm Tony Dungy, and I am second.
1 in 7 Americans will struggle with addiction during their lifetime. Want to know how you can help? Go to heretolisten.com for tips and tools to help turn addiction around. A public service announcement brought to you by the Ad Council.
Major key alert. Life is like school. You will be tested, so pass it.
Learn the real major keys to getting to college at GetSchooled.com. Brought to you by GetSchooled and the Ad Council.
Welcome back to Destiny Talk Live. I'm your host, Cherry G, and my co-host, Santrell G. We're here with Sherman Williams Live. You guys have been awesome tuning in and talking to us on here.
We appreciate you.
We really appreciate it. If you have more comments, please, if you're listening on Facebook, put them in the comment section. We'll get back with you. If you're listening to tune in, or if you just want to call in and talk to Sherman yourself, 678-613-5857. Santrell, you have some stuff you wanted to read out to Sherman.
You know, let's see here. Ted Bear, who is one of our favorite listeners here, he said, so true when we're talking about the family and you being the authority figure. He said his mom is his mentor. She told me, if you could see the vision, you can make it happen. You don't need to get anyone else's approval to do what you need to do, but all calls necessary, let's see, what is he talking about? Help those who are in need. Don't be greedy. So understand that it's not about yourself, but making sure that you have a vision. And that comment just reminds me of what you said about your daughter, to your daughter. Have your own thing. Both, whether it be your son or daughter, but especially daughters, be able to bring something to the table, right? Is that what I'm hearing you saying?
Yes, definitely.
Bring something to the relationship. Don't go in with your hand out, oh, take care of me. You guys are there to take care of each other.
That's right. You build together, you know. And if you have to build on your own until you get somebody to build together, then that's what you should do.
Right.
You shouldn't look for somebody to build for you. You know, you build on your own, and then you can find someone, or someone that will find you, because, it's, you know, the man's supposed to find the woman. I mean, we have that twisted up, and, you know.
Oh, yeah, nowadays they're aggressive. You know, women are now, you know, going, hey.
Yeah, it's the man should be the leader. The man is in that order of creation. The man is just the natural leader. But, you know, the woman is so much value. So I just don't want my daughters or anyone else's daughters, because anyone that comes into our program is our kids. So I don't want any kid that come into our program to feel like they can lose their self or lose their value, especially the females. So I want them to always know that they are valuable and their role is very important. But in the order of creation, the man should be the one to lead. And that's just how it is. That's just how I feel. That's the way I was raised.
So Ted Bear says the worst thing that a parent could do is trying to be their kids' friends. And he said, where they do that at? They do it out here. You know that. And then Brian Alford said, yes, establish that boundary with your kids so they know the difference between friendship and parenting. He said, good point. And it is true. That is true. And then I want to get to this one question. And Todd Robinson said,
been trying to push, and because my situation, it just seemed like a perfect fit.
Right. Exactly.
You know,
I would think so.
And it just seemed like a natural fit, but I just guess that it just hadn't happened in God's time.
okay, so what you need to be able to do that so we can, do we need to all get a petition together? Do we need to be pushing? Because this message needs to get out there.
We definitely need to be in front of those guys that's coming into those NFL programs to where, you know, like the comments that the owner down there at the Houston Texans made, and can't let the inmates run the prison and all that type of stuff. You know, we got to get that, remove those mentalities away from the NFL and all professional sports and all professionalism. As if you're a carpenter or plumber or whatever your profession is, we got to remove a lot of those stigmas about our culture. You know,
well, we got to start too with what we're representing, because we talked about this before. There's a lot of TV shows that are out there that still depicts women of being we angry all the time, we sleeping with somebody's husband, we doing all this nonsense, and it's still. I mean, we've got to do better. I know it's entertainment, but now people can't depict real life from entertainment because it's blended so much. So I'm out here talking to all of my listeners that are listening. We need to be able to find out how we can get Sherman out there to talk to the NFL Rookie Symposium. So Barry, I need you to get on your job with me. Todd, since you brought up the question, we're going to all get on this and we're going to figure out how we can help you get there. Now, Ted Bear says, I see I'm a 64 baby and my mama didn't play that. Are you right? My mother didn't either.
No.
You know, we didn't.
We don't come from that generation.
We don't come from that generation where, and I think we need to kind of take it back. Now, I was a single parent and I didn't do a whole lot of yelling with my children. I just didn't think it was necessary. And you can count on one hand, how many times I had to really whip or spank them.
Right.
Because they knew when mama said something, she meant it, and I was consistent.
Correct.
See, that's what we don't have with our parents and our kids is consistency. And we talked. We sat down and we talked about those tough things. I'm kind of like what you were, like you are with your kids. I mean, I didn't feel like I needed to hide anything from my children because there are no secrets. You remember how we said that? Somebody was in that mess with you. There is no secret, you know. And the biggest thing for me, and what I want to talk more is like when you decided you were going to write this book, where were you when it came to you that I'm going to write this book? I want to do something to change kids' lives. I want to show my kids that this is not where you have to be. Don't follow daddy. Don't be like daddy. Be like daddy in a sense, but not like this.
Right.
What made you come to this decision to write these books?
Well, it was in 2006. If I don't know if y'all ran across the article that I did in 2006 while I was still in federal prison in Forest City, Arkansas, and I had an article where I spoke fervently about, you know, making a change and being part of kids' lives and working in the community when I get released from prison. Even going back to my sentencing in the volume 2, you will see in the sentencing transcript the only statement that I made through my whole trial. And I talked about, you know, I knew that it was a purpose for me going through what I was going through, and I knew that it was going to make me a better person once I was able to come through this storm. I didn't know the journey. I didn't know how it was going to happen, but I had faith that it was going to happen. I still had the belief that was instilled in me as a child through my mother, grandmother praying for me and also taking me to church and giving me the spiritual background. I knew it was a higher power. I already knew that. It just was a matter of me getting back to that. And then I knew that I had to use my testimony as a purpose to support that higher power. Right. So what I knew at 2006 while I was in prison, I wasn't going to be released until 2014. So I had 8 years to contemplate how I was going to come up with this program and how I was going to make it happen. So we got a great program. We got a great start. When I came out of prison, I hit the road. We was moving, we was grooving. Everybody's starting to get a hit of what we have going on. We're going into our 5th year, and things are starting to move in the right direction. And it's moving at God's time.
You know, and I like something that you said. You said, and I did see that article, by the way. I did read it, and there was a comment that was on there that said you almost seemed kind of like cocky, that you were, you didn't seem like you were sorry for your actions. Right. And I had to read that again. Yeah. And the reason why I read it is like, so what were you supposed Sherman Williams took Sherman Williams, your mess. You owned it. Yeah. And then when you said in there, you said, I mean, this ain't nothing. I just got to do it. That's right. Yeah. I mean, I really wish that I could have said something to the person who left the comment. What were you supposed to do? Right. Were you supposed to look defeated? Yeah. Were you supposed to be crying and snot running down your nose and looking straight crazy? No. I like the fact that you said, hey, this is my mess. I'm in it. I'm going to do it. And nothing for me to do it but to do it.
That's right.
Yeah, because there's no way you would have survived all that time if you would have been in the keeping yourself in the pit. You wouldn't have.
Defeated mentality. Yeah. No, you got to always keep your head up high. You got to always be willing to take your responsibility and move forward and make the best out of a bad situation.
You're listening to Destiny Talk Live. I'm your host, Cherry G.
Station Network. Radio 2, Atlanta. Marie Callender's knows that you may not have time to roll out dough for a perfectly flaky crust that's made from scratch. Or enough time to mix vegetables with all white meat chicken and a homemade gravy. She knows you may not have a moment to crimp the edges of your favorite chicken pot pie. But Marie Callender's does. And when she's done, all you need to do is find time to grab someone special. Sit down and savor. Marie Callender's, it's time to say
JBT 700 Miami Circle 30324. It's not a chain, it's a chain reaction.
Invest $49 a month at a real gym.
For more info, go to facebook.com/Jeans Body Tech.
Hi, this is Terry Crews, actor, former football player, and father of 5. I'm also an expert on drama. There's the good kind that comes with having a house full of kids, and there's silly drama like the drama around my percolating pectorals. And then there's the drama you can skip.
Skip the drama that comes with not having your high school diploma or equivalency. Find free adult education classes near you and finish your diploma. Visit finishyourdiploma.org. That's finishyourdiploma.org.
And leave the drama to actors like me.
Brought to you by the Dollar General Literacy Foundation and the Ed Council.
Meet former Dallas Cowboy Sherman Williams as he makes his way through Atlanta to Arlington, Texas for the release of Crimson Cowboy, Peace Between the Lines. Don't miss your time to gain valuable insight on how to avoid the pitfalls of success. For appearance information, please go to info@palmerwilliamsgroup.org.
Welcome back to Destiny Talk Live. I'm your host, Cherry G, and my co-host, Santrell G. We're here with Sherman Williams. And you guys, this has been an awesome show because he is just laying it down. I like the fact that he is unapologetic about his journey and his travel. And he's trying to make sure that you understand that you have to own up to your mess. And before the break, we were asking him a question that, I made the comment that this listener or whatever commented on an article that he was on about how he looked like he was kind of cocky, and he was saying how faith-based. My question to you, Sherman, what about those people that, like I said, don't believe in a higher power or anything like that? What advice would you give them?
It's very simple. If you don't believe in a higher power, you got to believe that you're a human.
Okay.
If you see yourself and you see the person next to you, you know that humans exist. If you don't believe in something extraterrestrial or something outside of your own being and know that there are other beings, then you know that you are a human. And in humans, we have the aspect of choices.
Okay.
We still have the aspect of choices as a human. And you know right from wrong.
Right.
I mean, you don't want to say if it's something inside of you, whatever you call it, is you. That's know when you making a bad decision, but you know it and you feel it. And if you don't want to say that's a higher power, then that's fine.
Right.
If you don't think that's a being outside of your own flesh or person, then that's fine. But as a human, you know right from wrong. Now, if you know you're going to do the right thing, then you're going to know that you're going to be rewarded. If you go to school, just look at it, going to school, and you study, you pass tests, you're going to graduate. If you don't go to school and you don't study, you flunk every test, guess what? You're not going to graduate. So it's simple. You don't have to make it no more higher than what it really is because it's very simple.
Right.
If you don't want to believe in a higher power, then just believe in the human being.
Now, I used to tell my kids that you're going to suffer the consequences of your actions. My mother used to say to us, you do a crime and you go to jail, I may come visit you when I don't have nothing to do and bring you some soap on a rope. That's what she used to say to us all the time. And, it's kind of funny, but my mother was serious about that thing. You know what I mean? Because she was like, and I came from a big family. There's 5 girls and 4 boys, so it was a lot of personalities to deal with. And you said that earlier. It was a lot of personalities. And I have 3. Centrell has 3. And we always talk about our kids and their personalities. Now, I laugh and I joke around. And she's got to meet my kids. And I always say that my oldest one was kind of like my thug. All of them had that. I mean, Tanisha wasn't, she wasn't out of control, but she had a temper.
Right.
And I used to have to tell her all the time, hey, you got to kind of calm that down. But I realized she got that from me.
Right.
Because she saw my mess. So I had to fix that mess.
That's what happens.
I had to fix it.
They're going to follow the example.
They're going to follow the example. And I like what you said, though, that you got to lead. You guys stay tuned. You're listening to Destiny Talk Live. I'm your host, Cherry G.
An American soldier.
I'm a warrior and a member of a team. I serve the people of the United States and live the Army values.
I will always place this first. I will never accept defeat.
I will never accept defeat.
I will never quit. I will never leave a fallen comrade. I am disciplined.
I am disciplined. Physically and mentally tough.
Trained and proficient in my warrior task and drill.
I always maintain my arms, my equipment, and myself.
I
I am an expert, and I am a professional.
I stand ready to deploy, engage, and destroy the
enemies of the United States of America in close combat.
I am a guardian of freedom and the American way of life.
I am an American soldier.
I am an American soldier.
I am an American soldier.
There's strong, and there's Army Strong. See what it takes at GoArmy.com.
1 in 7 Americans will struggle with addiction during their lifetime. Want to know how you can help? Go to heretolisten.com for tips and tools to help turn addiction around. A public service announcement brought to you by the Ad Council.
This is big business. This is the American way.
Station Network.
See ya.
Welcome back to Destiny Talk Live. You're listening to Cherry G. I'm your host, and I want to say thank you to all of our listeners that's been tuning in. Nicole Sykes, thank you. Ted Bear, as always, thank you. William Thomas, Hardcore, and Todd and Brian, thank you guys so much for tuning in. If I forgot your name or missed it, I do apologize because we have so many comments and stuff coming in, and I really do appreciate it. Just before the break, we were talking about family ties and how we have to be parents to our children and how we have to be, you know, we have to own up on our own mistakes and so forth like that. And I can say for you that I'm just really excited of who you are. I mean, like I said, I read Crimson Cowboy and I was sold. I mean, the day I got the book, I read it that day. Yeah. You know, every time I tried to put it down, something would happen. I had to get back up and read it. And it was so simple. The read was simple. And what I mean by that, guys, it was to the point. Right. I mean, we didn't have to tap dance around the forest to see the brown leaves and the water was glistening. We didn't have to go through all that glistening.
I made it so simple that a sixth grader could read it.
Right. It was, and I was going to say, it was, I really do think it's something that we should be introducing to our kids in these programs.
That's right.
And I've said to him when he agreed to come to the show, when we were talking, I said, man, I really do appreciate what you wrote in your story. And it was exactly what we do here. That's why we're doing Destiny Talk, because we all have our own set of demons that we went through. But you were in the NFL. You played for the greatest team on earth.
That's right. No Cowboys.
That's right.
You better believe it.
And you played for Alabama. My mom's from Alabama, so you know we've got the Roll Tide side on our family too.
Roll Tide.
But you didn't lose you. You didn't lose you. I went back and looked at your reels from college. You were very much the stud muffin and the the showboat. I saw the shake. I was like, okay, I see that shake. Okay. And even meeting you now in the two occasions that we've ran into each other, and then you're here now, you still have that down-to-earth, same type of personality. Prison didn't break you.
Right. And
it evolved you, in my opinion.
Purpose. Because, and one of the statements I made that people might think cocky in my statement, I said what it might kill the average man won't even make me flinch.
Right. And I love that, because you were saying, look, I did this, I got this, let's roll.
That's right. And you got to have that certain type of confidence to be able to compete on a higher level. The NFL is very challenging, and if you don't have that type of confidence, some of those guys, they are very flamboyant and over the top, but they have a way of hiding and concealing it. To make it to the NFL, you got to have a high level of competition. Right. And that could be ego, that could be a conceited, some people could see it as arrogance, but it's something that each player, each person has to have. If you're going to compete on a high level, you have to have that confidence. You got to have that cockiness, and you got to have that confidence, but not to the point to where you're being rude, obnoxious, or belligerent, and that type of thing. Me, I like to have fun. I was a fun kid. I love to have fun. If we have fun, then I'm with it. If we can make a smile, we can make a laugh, and if some people get offended, it's tragedy is comedy. Some people fall and scrape their knee and get back up and keep pushing. All right, look, you all right?
Squirt, squirt, put that little spray on it.
We're going to laugh about it later. So it's just how it is. And I feel like that confidence is really, it's very important. And we try to tell our kids in our programs, be confident.
Yes, you have to be.
hold your head up.
You
don't
look
man in
down.
the eye when
Yeah.
he's talking to you. Don't be holding your head down. Use your words. If somebody's saying something to you, or shrugging your shoulders.
What's that?
We don't do that.
Right.
We talk. We use our words. We say yes. We say no. Yes, ma'am. Yes, sir. We say okay. If somebody asks you a question, what's your name? You tell them your name. You look a man in his eye and you tell him your name. Those are the types of things that we're going to put into our kids in our program. We're not going to be shy. We're not going to be bashful. We're not going to feel inferior. We're going to hold our head up and be proud of whatever situation we're in.
Before I get to Centrail, William, I think you can buy the book on Amazon, correct?
You can.
Okay.
You can. But it's always best to buy it on crimsoncowboy.com because you get a signed autograph copy.
Okay, so remember that. Now, Frankie White said, hey, tell my childhood friend I'm proud of him and stay focused. Keep up the great work, and you're a straight-up dude.
Man, where Frankie at? You down in New Orleans? Where you at, man? I didn't know you was back in the A. Where you at? That's my homeboy out. That's my real homeboy right there from the neighborhood.
Wait, you know that's his homeboy because he got like, yo, man, what's up?
Ain't no doubt. That's my homeboy. That's my righteous homeboy. You know when you say that's my righteous homeboy?
That's your right,
That's your homeboy.
That's that one that's been in the trenches,
boy. In the neighborhood. We on the corner block on 3 houses down. We neighborhood. What's up, Frankie?
Good. Central, you had something you wanted to say before we go off air?
You know what? We can come back and talk about it if that's all right.
All right. Stay tuned, guys. You're listening to Destiny Talk Live. I'm your host, Cherry G.
Don't know the power of the Sensation Network. The power.
Adopt US Kids presents Multiple Choice Parenting.
Your daughter just had her first breakup. Do you A, put yourself in her shoes?
How could he do this to you? And for Sheila, she has split ends.
B, console her.
Oh, sweetie, this is going to happen a lot. 4, maybe 5 more times before you get married.
C, take charge.
Got to get this all straightened out. Give a little talking to, man to man, mano a mano. Hey, Steve! It's now a good time? No? Okay, no problem. Bye.
Or D, help her find a new boyfriend.
I know a great place to meet boys. The internet. Nice, single boys. Never mind. How about some ice cream?
As a parent, there are no perfect answers. But you don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will love you just the same.
For more information on how you can adopt, visit adoptuskids.org. A public service announcement from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt U.S. Kids, and the Ad Council.
When I grow up, I want to be a new pair of blue jeans. When I grow up, I want to be a kid's first computer. I want to be a warm place on a cold day. Football stadium. I want to be a bike that races around the country. I want to be a bench on a forest trail. When I grow up, I don't want to be a piece of garbage. And if you recycle...
Recycled.org. Brought to you by Keep America Beautiful and the Ad Council.
1 in 7 Americans will struggle with addiction during their lifetime. Want to know how you can help? Go to heretolisten.com for tips and tools to help turn addiction around. A public service announcement brought to you by the Ad Council.
Welcome back to Destiny Talk Live. We have a caller on the line for Sherman. Go ahead, caller. Tell us your name.
Hi, caller. Hi, everyone. My name is Donna Culver. I am listening to this, and it's wonderful. Hi, Mr. Sherman.
Hello.
I'm a Dallas Cowboy fan.
How about them Cowboys?
All right.
You know it.
Also, that roll tide.
Roll tide, roll. Hey, you got the best of both worlds. You can't lose.
Yes,
indeed.
I am enjoying the show. Thank you for your information, your life, your story, being transparent. I would love for you to come to Orlando to talk to my high school teams from my alma mater. We are known as the Junior Cowboys over there. We have y'all colors.
Yeah, okay.
And then I just enjoy everything that you're doing, and I would love for you to come and talk to that group and my mentor group as well.
Okay. That'd be you can go on our website, and it's palmerwilliamsgroup.org, and then if you want to get in contact with our resource department at info at palmerwilliamsgroup.org. It's palmerwilliamsgroup.org. And you can always reach out to us and contact us, and we'll be more than happy to come out and be a part of your organization, your program, and bring our blessings of testimony down to your situation.
And what we'll do...
Okay, no problem. Thank you so much.
Thank you, caller. And we'll have that also posted on our Facebook page for you, okay? Thank you again for calling.
So my question to you, Sherman, is, we talked about you guys teach the kids confidence, look people in the eye, use your words and so on. So you're teaching them to own themselves, right? Correct. Teaching them how to be responsible. So what is the advice that you give them? Okay, you are in a situation and you have a decision to make. You can either go left or you can go right. Mm-hmm. And right is in the direction in which you want to keep on the path that you're supposed to. How do you work with them, especially when you talk about you're coming from the economics of the area may not be what they want, their family may not be well off, or whatever it is. They may have the challenges that they're facing. What advice do you give? How do you keep them from veering this way instead of staying on their own path?
One thing you have to realize, and with our studies, we work with kids between the age of 9 and 14. Mm-hmm. We understand that through our studies, it's statistically that those are the ages of development, mm-hmm. where kids start to form their relationships, start to form their ideals, and start to get with their associations. So what you have to do is you have to always tell them about the training, the repeat. You have to stay in tune with them, because it's not going to be one instance that's going to cause them to make that decision. Mm-hmm. Just like I tell them in my book, and when I was doing my speaking engagements, I didn't make it to the NFL overnight. I started playing football at 8 years old, but I didn't actually start getting paid till I was 22 years old. Mm. So it was a transformation of 14 years where I had to do things to get to that point. And then it's the same thing with going to prison. I didn't just wake up one day overnight and I was in prison. Mm-hmm. I started being a criminal and participating in criminal behavior at 12, 13 years old. Mm. I got expelled from junior high when I was 12 years old for distributing alcohol in the school system. So I tell those kids it's going to be your training and your repetition. It's being responsible and being irresponsible. The definition of being responsible is knowing the right thing to do, and then you go and do it. Mm-hmm. But then the definition of being irresponsible is when you know the right thing to do, mm-hmm. but you choose to do the wrong thing. Mm-hmm. So be responsible. Mm-hmm. Always be responsible. Make a habit of doing the right thing, because it's not going to be a time where one decision is not going to be the end to be all.
Right.
It's going to be a chain of decisions that's going to lead you down that road of either failure or either success. Mm-hmm. So that's what we try to instill into our kids, the training, mm-hmm. the repetition. When you repeat things over and over again, repetition is the only thing that's going to give you that second nature thought process.
Right. And I love what I'm hearing you say too is that there are the small things that we do, and adults are like this as well. When we compromise ourselves, even in the small things, people who do the big things, the big mistakes, they didn't just do this overnight.
No.
It was those little compromises to their integrity. It's the young man, the 12 years old, and you're doing something you have no business doing.
Exactly.
So it's those small compromises that are made that get us to the big thing.
That's right.
Yeah.
And that's what you have to get in those kids between the ages of 9 and 14. Mm-hmm. You have to get in there and say, look, you're 9 years old.
Yeah.
I got to stay with you. You got to be in this program. You got to be a part of our training.
Mm-hmm.
And when you get to be 14 years old, you're going to have a real great understanding of what you're supposed to do and what you're not supposed to do.
Nice. Consistency. I love it.
You guys, we have been listening to Sherman Williams talk to us and share his story. Sherman Williams says Alabama should have been the 33rd NFL team. He said, God bless you and your organization and every person
we appreciate
in your book. You guys, if you're here in Atlanta this weekend, Sherman is going to be at Empire Sports Bar on Windy Hill tomorrow night at from 8 p.m. until about 11.
Yeah.
He'll be there signing books and taking pictures. So if you want to come out and meet him, he'll also on Saturday, November 11th, be at the Crimson Cowboy launch party at Empire Sports Bar from 12 noon to 3 p.m. And then Sunday he will be at the game. Whoop, whoop, at the Mercedes-Benz Stadium at the Dallas Cowboy fan tailgate party. Sherman, thank you so much for coming in and talking and sharing your story with us. We do appreciate it. You guys, thank you.
Thank you.
And you have been listening to Destiny Talk Live. I'm your host, Cherry G.
And Santrell G.
It's always a blessing. Thanks for having me.
Sherman.
Meet former Dallas Cowboy Sherman Williams as he makes his way through Atlanta to Arlington, Texas for the release of Crimson Cowboy, Peace Between the Lines. Don't miss your time to gain valuable insight on how to avoid the pitfalls of success. For appearance information, please go to info@palmerwilliamsgroup.org.